There is a text message on a phone that belongs to a 22-year-old man named Marcus. He has kept the phone charged for 2 years. He has not deleted the conversation. He told me he is not ready to. The message is from Oliver Callahan. Oliver sent it on a Thursday afternoon in October. 3 days later, Oliver was dead. The message says, "Still stuck on the bridge section. Thinking a minor, not a major, will try tomorrow." Oliver never had a tomorrow. 2 years after that message was sent, Oliver's father, Edward, had a massive cardiac arrest in the kitchen of their home in southeast Portland. He was clinically dead for 6 minutes and 38 seconds. 3 defibrillations before his heart returned to a viable rhythm. When Ned, that's what everyone called him, woke up in the cardiac ICU, the first thing he said to his wife was, he figured out the bridge. His wife did not know what that meant. She thought it was post-resuscitation confusion. She wrote it down because she is the kind of person who writes things down, and she was grateful her husband was alive, and she didn't know what else to do with it. Ned doesn't play any instrument. He cannot read music notation. He did not know what a bridge section was, not in a musical sense. He had no idea his son had been stuck on one. What he knew was what Oliver had said to him. Not in words exactly, but he understood it as words. The bridge goes to a minor. I figured it out, Dad. I need to tell you what I found when I started asking questions. Edward Callahan is 52 years old. He works as a software architect for a logistics company in Portland, methodical and precise, someone who describes things with specifications, not impressions. When he told me what happened on the morning of November 17th, he organized it chronologically, like a report. He had been making breakfast. His wife Patricia was upstairs. He felt pressure in the center of his chest, not sharp, not the movie version of a heart attack, more like someone placing a hand on his sternum and pressing steadily without release. He sat down at the kitchen table. He did not call out to Patricia. That decision cost him approximately 4 minutes. She came downstairs for coffee and found him slumped against the chair back, unresponsive. She called 911 and began CPR, not medically trained, just a course she had taken through their son's elementary school 15 years earlier. She kept compressions going until the paramedics arrived. He was in a systole when the first responders reached him. No electrical activity. 6 minutes and 38 seconds from estimated arrest, onset to first successful defibrillation. The culprit, a proximal LAD occlusion. The left anterior descending artery, the vessel emergency medicine calls a widowmaker. Not because the outcome is always fatal, but because without immediate intervention, the word is not an exaggeration. He survived. 11 days in the cardiac ICU, home by Thanksgiving. Oliver Callahan had been 19 years old. A freshman at the University of Oregon, studying guitar, playing in a band he had started with friends from high school. His bandmate, Marcus, who has kept the phone charged for 2 years, had been his closest friend since the 6th grade. Oliver died in a head-on collision on Highway 99E on a Sunday morning in October. He was the passenger. The driver survived with serious injuries. Oliver did not survive. I want to tell you something about grief before I tell you what happened during those 6 minutes and 38 seconds. Ned had not touched Oliver's laptop in 2 years. It sat in the closet of Oliver's bedroom. The bedroom door stayed closed. He understood this about himself, that he was not ready. And he told me this without apology, the way people report facts about their own limits when they have accepted those limits as structural. He opened the laptop 5 days after he came home from the hospital. But first, what happened when his heart stopped? Ned separated from his body. He knew it was his body because he could see Patricia kneeling over it. The exact way her left hand was positioned on his sternum, the cordless phone on the table, the mug of coffee he had not finished. He described the quality of observation as vertiginously clear, better than waking vision. He saw the ring on Patricia's right hand, which she had moved there from her left 3 months after their wedding because the setting caught on her garden gloves, and she had never moved it back. He did not know how long he was in that clarity. And then there was something else. Not a transition, more like a shift in what was primary, the way a thought becomes the foreground of everything, and then a sound reclaims the foreground, and the thought is still there, but no longer the most present thing. He was somewhere that was not the kitchen. Warmth in the way that the quality of a particular afternoon has warmth, not radiating from a source. Simply a quality of the air that was warm, and something in that warmth that felt inhabited. And Oliver was there. Ned told me Oliver was not the way he appeared in the worst memories of that week. He was the way he was on Sunday mornings, unhurried, wearing the flannel shirt that was always slightly too large for him, the one he wore around the house when he wasn't going anywhere. The specific quality of him being himself that Ned had spent 2 years searching for in photographs and could never quite locate, because photographs capture an angle, and this was not an angle. It was the full thing. There was no conversation, not an exchange of sentences, something more efficient than language. He understood from Oliver's presence that Oliver was fine in a way that exceeded any conventional use of that word. That what Oliver was in that space bore a relationship to the person Ned had known the way a living tree bears a relationship to what you see in a photograph of a tree. And then he understood something specific. It arrived the way clear knowledge arrives when it isn't built or explained, just present. Oliver had been working on something before the accident. He had not finished it, and in whatever that space was, he had figured out the part he was stuck on. The bridge goes to A minor. I figured it out, Dad. Ned understood this as his son's voice, the exact quality and cadence of it. And then he heard Patricia saying his name from somewhere below, from somewhere that sounded like water between him and the sound. She said it again, louder. The space began to diminish. He did not resist. He woke up on the kitchen floor, a paramedic's hand on his neck, Patricia's face. His first coherent thought, he figured it out. What I found, when I traced this back, is the following. Ned had no musical background. He did not know chord names. After the NDE, he looked up a minor on his phone. He found a diagram of a piano keyboard and located the 3 notes. He did not know what a bridge section was, in a structural sense. He had to look that up too. I asked whether Oliver had ever discussed music in technical terms at home. Ned said Oliver talked about his music constantly, but not in the vocabulary of music theory, not in chord names or song sections. He talked about what a song felt like, whether it was done. He did not bring technical details into family conversations. I asked whether Ned knew Marcus. He did. I contacted Marcus through Ned. Before telling him anything about what Ned had described, I asked one question. In the weeks before the accident, was Oliver working on anything specific? Was he stuck on anything? Marcus was quiet for a few seconds. He said yes. A song they had been working on together for about 2 months. Oliver had been going back and forth on the bridge section, the part that wasn't landing. He had been texting Marcus about it almost daily in the 2 weeks before the accident. I asked, "Do you still have those texts?" He said he had kept everything. He sent me the thread. The last message, dated October 16th, still stuck on the bridge section. Thinking, a minor, not a major. We'll try tomorrow. 3 days before the accident. Ned had told me, without knowing what the words meant, without any context for the musical terminology, that Oliver said, "The bridge goes to A minor." I figured it out. The specific phrase, the specific chord, the specific section of the specific song. A text that Ned had never seen, sent in a conversation that had never included him. I need to be careful here because I have spent a lot of time learning to be careful. Jeffrey Long is a radiation oncologist who founded the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation in 1998. His database holds more than 5,000 documented accounts. He found that in 96% of near-death experiences where the experiencer encountered a being they recognized, that being was someone who had died prior to the experience. Not a living person, someone already gone. The people who appear in these spaces are overwhelmingly the deceased, and they are frequently described not as they appeared at death or in illness, but as themselves. The essential version. The one that photographs fail to capture. Jan Holden spent decades at the University of North Texas studying veridical perception during near-death experiences, observations made during an NDE that can later be confirmed by physical evidence. She reviewed 89 case reports of experiencers who describe specific, verifiable details they should not have been able to access. 92% were confirmed as completely accurate when investigated. Not approximately, completely. The cases Holden examined included observations made during periods of documented cardiac arrest, periods when the brain, by every conventional measure, was not functioning in a way that could support complex perception, let alone accurate retrieval of previously unknown information. Ned described a specific technical phrase from a text conversation his son had been having with his bandmate. A phrase Ned had never seen, about a topic he did not understand, using terminology he had to look up afterward. The phrase was confirmed, word for word, by a text message Oliver sent 3 days before he stopped having tomorrows. I do not have a clinical framework for this. I have been an ICU nurse, and I have spent years reading the research, and I have built many frameworks. They account for a great deal. They do not account for a minor, not a major, from a man who had to look up what a chord was, describing the last musical thought his son never got to act on. I had a patient in my 15th year at Providence, Portland. I will call her Ruth. She was 66 years old, end-stage COPD, bilateral emphysema, oxygen-dependent for 2 years, FEV1 of around 20%. Her son had died 12 years earlier, at 22, in a motorcycle accident on the Sunset Highway. She kept a photograph of him, just his face on a card the size of a playing card, in the front pocket of her hospital gown. In the last 3 days of her admission, Ruth told me 3 separate times that she was going to see her boy. Not I hope to, not someday. In the present tense, with the quiet certainty of someone reporting a fact. He's close, sweetheart. I can feel him getting closer. I documented her oxygen saturation. I adjusted her flow rate. I asked whether she would like to speak with the chaplain. She said, "No thank you, honey. I know where I'm going." She died at 3:47 in the morning. I was not on shift. I found out at handover. I have thought about Ruth many times. But when Ned described finding Oliver in that space, not in the way he'd looked in the accident, but in the flannel shirt on a Sunday morning, whole and unhurried, I thought about Ruth specifically, about the card in her pocket, about the certainty in her voice. I told her we should focus on her breathing. I changed the subject. She had been trying to tell me something she already knew, and I used clinical efficiency to close the conversation. Ruth's son died at 22 on the Sunset Highway. I don't know what was waiting for her. I don't know if anyone was there. What I know now that I didn't know then is that the question deserved to be treated as a real question, not managed, not redirected. Ruth may have been right, and the specific weight of that possibility is different now than it was in my 15th year. If you are here because you lost a child, if that is the specific loss that brought you to this channel, I cannot give you certainty. I want to. I don't have it. What I have is a software architect from Portland who cannot read music, who spent 6 minutes and 38 seconds in cardiac arrest, and who came back describing a specific chord change from a conversation he had never been part of. I have Marcus's phone, still charged, the text thread, still there, October 16th, thinking, a minor, not a major, will try tomorrow. I have the 96%, the pattern across 5,000 documented accounts, the statistical reality that the people who appear in those spaces are almost always the ones who are already gone. Oliver was working on something. He hadn't finished it. And when his father's heart stopped in a kitchen in southeast Portland, Oliver told him what he'd figured out. The bridge goes to A minor. Whatever that means from wherever he is, he wanted his father to know. And Ned, who had to look up what a chord was, who had kept the door to his son's bedroom closed for 2 years, who woke up on the kitchen floor and said he figured it out before he said anything else. Ned understood exactly what it meant. He said, "I didn't even know he was writing something for me." But he was, and he finished it.